Now the other Somso brain model. Not as fancy as our multicolored model over there, but definitely easier to reassemble. So, structures that we need. Again, it's white region right there. This time keyed out with the cursive letter O on it. That is your corpus callosum. The area just below that, this time with a cursive letter R on it. The septum pellucidum. Just below that, this model, which is unfortunately not labeled, that white line right there is the fornix. The blue thing is still the choroid plexus. The pink thing is still the pineal gland. This area right here is the hypothalamus. On this model, all we can see of the thalamus is right here with an N on it. Here is the cerebellum. This white thing that looks like a tree in the cerebellum is called the arbor vitae, or the tree of life. Our areas of the brainstem, right here with the capital C on it, we can see the midbrain. If we look right here, this region would have a capital D. It's right there. That's the pons. And then all the way down here is the medulla. Midbrain, pons, medulla. That little thing that hangs down under the brain is the pituitary gland. So there is our cross section. Now, one thing that you'll find on your list of terms are the cranial nerves, and there are 12 of them. Each of them gets a Roman numeral and a name. Cranial nerve 1, the olfactory nerve. Cranial nerve 2, makes an X right there, the optic nerve. Cranial nerve 3, oculomotor. Cranial nerve 4, not well defined. Let's pull some of this off. There we go. Cranial nerve 4. Right there with a 4 on it. Roman numeral 4. That's the trochlear nerve. Cranial nerve 5. Trigeminal nerve. Cranial nerve 6. Abducens. 7. Facial. 8. Vestibulocochlear. 9. Glossopharyngeal. 10. Vagus. 11. Spinal accessory. And finally, cranial nerve 12, back here in the middle, a hypoglossal nerve. Now, when you notice this, and you look at this model, you'll notice that 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 are not well defined. And because of that, it makes it very difficult for me to label on your lab exam. So on your lab exam, you will need to be able to label cranial nerve 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 12. 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11, don't worry about labeling those because it's just really hard for me to tag for the lab. So there are the 12 cranial nerves. On this, I will label them on this model. So that should be fairly easy for you to identify. All right, so there goes your brain. So what we're left with now, this guy, the multicolored brain, and the spinal cord cross-section. I believe those are all the neuroanatomy models that I was able to throw in the back of my car. So we'll be limited to that. Go over the structures that we just talked about. Obviously, I don't believe that I can have 50 terms between those two things. fact, I know I don't. So go over the terms that we just looked at, and your final exam will be these models and pretty much matching those terms to the models.